I just ran into a nasty little bug in Maya that tripped me up for a little while, and looking online for solutions to this problem was really difficult. And so I thought to record this little short to describe how to fix this very simple issue if you run into it. What I want to do is import a animation sequence into Maya so that I can keyframe and animate it. My assignment is taking this pose and transitioning it correctly into the final pose using a video reference given to us by our instructor who acted out the animation transition that we're supposed to keyframe. Great. So first step in that is breaking down the animation, and what I wanted to do was not just import in the video from the instructor, but following along with the recommendation, which was draw out the keyframes. And so I did this in Blender, and I just used the grease pencil workflow and imported the image reference in Blender, which was relatively easy by just using the background image reference feature in Blender. And so I drew out my keyframes, of course, and then rendered that out as an image sequence. All that's fine. When going in to import this into Maya, and in doing so, we'll go through that very quickly together, we have a preset camera that we will be animating from, and that's the view that I want the reference video to at least be displayed in, even if it's not exactly lined up to the character. And how I've learned to do this, and this was extremely helpful from the video tutorials that I was able to find on how to do this. They did a great job of showing this part. Which is to say, when you have the camera selected, you scroll down into the Attribute Editor, the Environment tab, and click Create. And that creates the viewport, the reference image behind the camera. And if you don't see this, this is another thing that screwed me up, make sure that your Show Viewport, make sure that you have cameras and image planes selected here. And now going over to the image plane attributes, there is the image name with a folder here. This is where you want to import your sequence. Now, default way that Blender and a lot of exporting video as image sequence is set is that it just does a sequence with the numbers. So this was a default way that Blender does it also, and this is what I started with and why I was having trouble. So if you notice that everything is numbered, it has 4 digits, 0001, so on down to 0077, which is the last frame of this sequence. I want to select just the first one and click Open. All right, and now it did appropriately show the image in the backdrop, which is exactly what I want. And if I click Image Sequence here, it does a little crunching, and what is supposed to happen is as I'm scrubbing, it should be also playing the image sequence in the backdrop. What is going wrong here? Everything seems to be correct. I followed multiple video tutorials following these steps exactly and could not figure out why. Why is my image sequence not playing? It's updating the image number. It knows that it's an image sequence, so what's the issue? The issue is something extremely trivial, and this is absolutely a bug in Maya, or needs to be at least mentioned in the documentation. What is having the trouble is the fact that this file name doesn't have anything that is alpha in front of its numerics. Maya needs something, anything, in front of this in order for it to render properly. So I'm going to jump right to the solution here, and then I'll show you how you can do this in Blender if you render out a sequence in that. But this, of course, is the answer for anything that you're rendering out as a sequence. So the correct thing is any number whatsoever, so or any letter. So SEQ underscore is all I did is prefix this image sequence, and using 4 numbers. Apparently that is also important. I'm not, 100% why. Although side note, make sure the FPS of the video that you're exporting is the same as the video settings in Maya, so 24 frames per second is what I'm using here. So when I use the image sequence, that starts with an alpha of any type, SEQ underscore in this case, and I open that up. Now it automatically unchecked use image sequence when I did that, so I want to check that again, and there it is. Since I wasn't on the first frame, I was on frame 61, now my reference is appropriately updating with the keyframes. So, if you've run into this and you're using Blender for exports, for some reason needing to use a hybrid workflow like I am, for student purposes in this case, make sure that when you are setting your output for render in Blender, that's over here in the output, and in this section here where it shows the folder, I'm just going to go back to the folder with the breakdown reference here, as I say SEQ, right? How you set that in Blender is you just type your prefix that you want, in this case SEQ underscore, and then the pound sign for every number that you want as the sequence starts. So pound, 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 pound for 4 numbers in your sequence. If for some reason your cockamamie software needs 5, I guess you can put 5 in here, and so on and so forth. But between those two things, that is the secret of importing image sequences in Maya that work. It needs something that isn't a number in the front of its file, or it's going to break. So I hope this helped you. I am recording this for myself for later when I surely run into this issue again, and thanks.